Sloth Uni. Listen, this is our last video before week 2 starts off. You know we had to get the starts to the weekend here, and I decided to throw in a little fun segment. I might do it every week for the first like 2 or 3 weeks, and then towards the end of the season, I'll bring it back into the playoffs. But we got our starts of the week, and then we got, is this team trending, or is this team, whatever they're doing, is it ending? It could be trending in a good direction, it could be trending in a bad direction, it could be ending for good, it could be ending for bad. We gonna start off with that, and we gonna start off with this new look Chargers, cause they came out week 1 pass heavy. It's crazy. But they're usually a uber heavy run team, especially with Jim Harbaugh, always been a run heavy head coach, and Greg Roman has always been a run heavy offensive coordinator. I'm not gonna lie, I stay saying I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not gonna lie. I think that this is gonna be a trend that continues throughout the season. Will they be this pass heavy all the way throughout the season? Probably not. I do think that it'll balance out a little bit as the year goes on, but I don't think they're gonna go back to be fully just like pounding it down your throat. Whoa. But I don't think they'll be the fully ground and pound team that we saw last year and that we've seen Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh be. Now, it's old to teach an old dog new tricks, so I could literally just be going out on the limb. It's week 1 and just say they're literally being pass heavy. Could be wrong, but listen, Jim Harbaugh is the type of guy to 100% be truthful about the shit that he says, and I'm talking about the crazy shit that he says. And he said, I mentioned it before, but he literally said he woke up, this was in August or no, June, something like that, a few months ago. He said he had an epiphany that he needed to get Justin Herbert into the Hall of Fame. And Justin Herbert is a quarterback who can put up crazy numbers. He's a great passer of the football, and he could easily be the engine of this football team. And if they make him the engine of this football team, they finally have the weapons for it. Last year they didn't really have the facilities or the personnel to actually be a pass heavy offense, because all they really had was Ladd McConkey, and Quentin Johnson was kind of coming into his own, and that was his first year really being on a team that, honestly, I feel like, I'm not in the locker room, but this looks like the first regime that actually like really believes in him and is actually doing things to put him in position to succeed. And they just got back Keenan Allen, who literally hasn't missed a step. He was good with the Bears, but the Bears were so bad last year that nobody really cared to look at what Keenan Allen was doing. But Keenan Allen has all the rapport with Justin Herbert. When Justin Herbert was coming into the league, Keenan Allen was his number 1 wide receiver. But now he got back Keenan Allen, still has Ladd McConkey, and now they have Quentin Johnson really coming into his own in the league. They have great weapons, and not to mention they drafted Trey Harris, who could come in later into the season and contribute. But yes, they do have Najee Harris and Amari Hampton, but like I said, I do think that their running game will kind of balance out more as the season goes on. But I think that their base form of offense will be pass heavy going forward. So yeah, I think that's trending. So if you have any of the Chargers pass catchers, 100% great find. The Browns offense, wrong beat. Browns offense plus Dylan Sampson, Harold Fannin, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman. I think as long as Joe Flacco is the quarterback, almost all of these guys will have value. I like Cedric Tillman over Jerry Jeudy, and Cedric Tillman was kind of coming on before Jerry Jeudy. Before Jerry Jeudy even had his run, Cedric Tillman was the guy over there in the Browns, and he's starting to show it again that he is the number 1 wide receiver option on his team. So I think regardless of who is the starting quarterback, Cedric Tillman will have value. Jerry Jeudy will kind of be more matchup based. I still kind of like him this week just because I think the Ravens are going to put up a lot of points, but it's a divisional game, so you never know. Dylan Sampson, I think that his role as a pass catcher will be trending, but I think his fantasy relevancy will more or less be coming to an end, because what you saw in week 1 was they started off with a running back committee, and then they kind of just went all Dylan Sampson because he was so electric and so effective through the air as a pass catcher, but he was incredibly inefficient as a runner. So whenever Quinshon Judkins actually does get on the team and starts getting meaningful snaps, I think that Quinshon Judkins will be taking over more of the running back roles going forward. I don't think he'll make a crazy dent in Dylan Sampson's pass catching role. I think that they drafted those two guys with a clear vision of what they had in mind for their roles. So I think Dylan Sampson will be a great pass catcher for this team. Will he catch 8 passes every week? No. That's why I do say I think his fantasy relevancy for the most part is ending. He'll still have his games here and there, but he's not going to catch 8 passes every week. And if he does, well, I mean, fuck me, I guess. Fuck me, I guess. Shit. But I don't think he'll catch 8 passes a game. Like that. There's too many mouths to feed in this offense, pass catching wise, because you got Cedric Tillman, Jerry Jeudy, Harold Fannin, David Njoku, and then Dylan Sampson comes into the fold. Like, listen, Joe Flacco's arm is only hanging off by a little bit of the bone. He's not a spring chicken anymore. But no, I think that as long as Joe Flacco is the quarterback, most all of these guys will have value that I just named. Speaking of Harold Fannin, this gentleman, this is trending in the right direction. This man has unicorn usage. I was watching the game and I just noticed, oh wow, Harold Fannin is getting a lot of passes thrown to him. Looked at the stats, I was like, oh wow, he had a really good game. And then all the statistic nerds and they started posting all the numbers. I was like, oh man, this guy actually, he really had a really good role, and the stats back it up. But then I went back to watch the game film, and oh my goodness, it was literally like the gates of just beautiful usage for a tight end just like opened up, and I was like, oh, like the lights shining in my eyes. I was like, oh my gosh, is this usage real? They were going to him as a first read so many times. I don't have the numbers on me right now, but he had an insane first read usage or first read target rate. Not to mention the Browns played 12 personnel a ridiculous amount more than what they did all last year, which is an indicator that they kind of wanted to get Harold Fannin involved in this offense, because they weren't going to start him over David Njoku, but they could run 12 personnel to have both of those guys out there in order to get Harold Fannin involved. And the icing on the cake, these two plays, they were 2 plays that will literally just like, they will go unnoticed. Or 1 play really that will go unnoticed. Not 2. But this is what really opened my eyes, and I was like, okay, they really, really want to get this guy the ball badly. Like, they love this guy. They love this player. They want him involved in this offense. They ran him out of the Wildcat. They ran a rookie tight end out of the Wildcat in week 1. Are you kidding me? After all the usage he got, yeah, Harold Fannin is here to stay. I don't know what this means for David Njoku. There's a lot of mouths to feed, and clearly they're stuffing Harold Fannon's face. So I think he is somebody who's going to be safe. I think Cedric Tillman and Harold Fannin are the only two people on this offense that I would say are week to week. You can start them 1,000%. Everybody else, I would say, is matchup based. But Steelers offense. The Steelers offense looked like scarily good. And it's kind of a changing in the guard in Pittsburgh because they've always been, or since Big Ben left, they've been a super run heavy team. They'll play defense, kind of have their quarterback play game managing, not lose the game. But it looks like they're finally getting with the times. That was one thing that I was looking out for, was how Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers would kind of mingle and integrate, because Arthur Smith loves to run the football. Aaron Rodgers loves to pass the football and have the offense run through him. And they have Jalen Warren. They just drafted Caleb Johnson. They traded away George Pickens, which at first led me to believe, they're going to be run heavy. But they just came out and started slinging it. I don't know if this was it could be just more of a Aaron Rodgers wanted to just stick it to his old team, and they were like, okay, we're going to let you have this game. It's week 1. Just come out, balls to the wall, pass the ball, have fun. But with the way their passing game was clicking, and I still think there's a lot of untapped potential, because we saw DK get locked up a lot because he drew a Sauce Gardner matchup, but he's not going to play the Jets secondary every week. So I think that we really haven't seen them uncork what their plans with DK Metcalf are, because the majority of his plays majority of his yards came from short yardage. It was really 2 plays. It was a crosser over the middle, short crosser, and then it was a screen pass. Majority of his yards came off of those 2. And with the way they were running him, I definitely think that there's a lot of untapped potential in the Steelers offense that we have yet to see. So I'm excited to see how this Steelers offense will grow as a passing game, and I think this is trending in the right direction. Seahawks offense. This one is one that is trending, but in the wrong direction. And I think it'll keep going that way, at least for fantasy, and maybe even for real football, other than JSN. But I was very skeptical about Sam Darnold going to the Seahawks, because I don't want to say he's a KOC, Kevin O'Connell merchant, but Brody might be a KOC merchant. I was intrigued with the Seahawks offense once they got Cooper Kupp, but then I started thinking, and I was like, honestly, would the Rams have gotten rid of Cooper Kupp if they thought he still had more in the tank? And my answer is no, because while yes, it would have been expensive to keep him, I don't think that the team that found him, cultivated his talent, turned him into a superstar, stuck with him through all the injuries, would just turn him loose and replace him with another also aged wide receiver. I don't think they would have done that if he still was able to play at even close to the level at what he was before. Yes, he did have a solid season last year, but I think they were kind of banking on the age kind of catching up to him at this point. But even without Cooper Kupp, I'm not a big fan of Sam Darnold at all. And the only person that I'm interested for fantasy in this offense is Jackson Smith-Njigba, because Sam Darnold is clearly going to feed him. Like, Sam Darnold had like 150 passing yards, and I think 129 of them were to Jackson Smith-Njigba. Which is crazy. But the running back situation for fantasy is horrible. Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker are literally almost dead even splitting the running back snaps, which for fantasy is literally a nightmare. And it's not what I project to be a very good offense in general. So this is an offense I'm staying away from unless it's Jackson Smith and Jigba. So I think this Seahawks offense will be trending to be bad, and I think it'll be a trend that we'll see throughout the season. Another offense that I think is trending, but not in a good direction, surprisingly, the Texans offense. The offensive line is still horrible, and the offensive line is very clearly holding them back from literally everything. They don't have Joe Mixon anymore to kind of keep defenses honest, so nobody's stacking the box against Nick Chubb. And listen, I like Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb looks like he has returned from the injuries. I love Nick Chubb, especially this year. I think he'll be solid for fantasy. I think he'll be a great running back too. But Nick Chubb is no longer scaring defenses. And unless they actually feed him, I don't think that this offense will kind of get on its feet. I think that the Christian Kirk loss was a bigger loss than a lot of people kind of think, because we've seen what this offense looks like with a bad offensive line, no run game, and just Nico Collins as the only viable wide receiver. We saw it last year. And Christian Kirk kind of provided that veteran presence. Say what you want about Christian Kirk, he is a really good slot receiver. And that's kind of where CJ Stroud does a lot of his damage. And not having a veteran slot, because slot is hard to play in the NFL. Like, I know we've seen a lot of young guys come in and kind of dominate in the slot, but these are also really great players. Not to say the Texans didn't draft really great players, but they weren't players who I saw coming in and immediately making a difference. So unless the Texans go completely run heavy, I think that this offense will still trend in the wrong direction. Honestly, fantasy aside, I think the Texans might not win their division if they can't get their offense in check. Like the Colts might come away with the division title should the Texans offense continue to struggle, which honestly, without Christian Kirk, I think it really will. Without Christian Kirk and without them switching to a more run-heavy offense, I think if they really lean more on Nick Chubb, which is scary, by the way, because his knees are chopped cheese. Love you, Nick Chubb, but dear Lord. I think if they give Nick Chubb about 18 to 20 carries, 18 to 20 touches a game, I think that will kind of change the guard of their offense and kind of get a steady chain mover. But it's no bueno. This is an offense that I'm very scared for. I'm very scared for. The Saints offense. This is something that I think is ending, but not a heavy ending, if that makes sense. The Saints passed the ball 46 times. I don't think they're going to have 46 attempts every week, but I think they'll balance out. I still think they will be pass heavy, just like the Chargers. Like, I think that they have Alvin Kamara. I think they're going to use him, especially in the running game, but Kellen Moore he's somebody whose offense kind of does tend to be more pass heavy, and he focuses more on wide receivers and tight ends. And one thing that I do think is ending, surprisingly, is the Alvin Kamara, or at least something to watch out for, the bare minimum, the Alvin Kamara receiving usage, because he saw literally little to no work in the receiving game. And Kellen Moore's offenses have tended to be more focused on wide receivers and tight ends. You saw Chris Olave. Said Christian Olave. Good Lord. Is his first name Christian? Wait. Pause. Wait. Christian Josiah Olave. Maybe I was cooking. You saw Christian Olave. I was just going to start calling him Christian Olave. No cap. Christian Olave had 14 targets. Juwan Johnson had, I believe, 12 or 11, something crazy like that. And Rashid Shaheed had 9 targets, I believe. Don't quote me on all of those. Listen, if my memory serves me right, those were the numbers. But I think that's really how it'll break down. I think that the wide receivers and the tight ends will be getting the bulk of the touches. Spencer Rattler, from what we've seen, hasn't really been dumping it down to running backs. And Kellen Moore, especially from what we've just seen, has been trying to get him to push the ball down the field and be aggressive in the passing game. And I think we'll see more of that because it's literally just how he runs his offense. Funny enough, I think that the Saints will be down a lot in games, so they will tend to be passing the ball more than running the football. So I think that while I think it's ending with the 46 attempts, I don't think it's ending to where they are just like fully run heavy. I think it'll balance out a little bit more than the Chargers. At least I think they'll try to. The main thing that's ending here is the Kamara receptions. That's the really thing that I'm looking out for. And the last trending or ending that we have is the Dolphins offense. I know what you guys are thinking. Sloth, are you giving up on your football team? Are you saying that the Dolphins offensive woes are going to be trending? No! This is going to stop. This is the week 1 is where this is where we make our stand, boys. Listen to me. Is this camera on me? Listen to me. This is where we make our stand, boys. All right. This is not just the Dolphins fan in me talking. This is the football analyst. What I see, because I always try to be brutally honest with the Dolphins. I try to put my fan in my head aside whenever. Sometimes it be slipping out. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes it be slipping out. But I try to be as unbiased as possible with the Dolphins. And I pay a lot of attention to football. I study this game a lot. But the Dolphins is mainly what I spend my focus on. I'm not gonna lie to you. And what I see is a team that, yes, there's a lot of talk in the media about the Dolphins, who they are as a team, blah, 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 blah. What I see is a team that is actually trying to drown out the noise. They did call a players-only meeting. A lot of people will say that's red flag alarms. But honestly, this is a team that's trying to... It's not a good thing that they're still trying to weed out all the people who aren't here to actually play for real and do their job seriously. But this is an effort that they're actually trying to put in. So it's not like they're like, oh, this is we're giving up on a team, like, is everybody... No, I think this is like all right, like, this is not where we want to be. Let's get our shit together. And the offense is too talented to not bounce back. Like, we've seen what they can be, and I don't know why they came out flat. I don't know why they came out unprepared. I'm not in those locker rooms. I can't answer those questions. But what I can answer is, I think this offense will bounce back, and I would buy low on almost all the Dolphins. Mainly Devon Achane. Tyreek Hill, I'm a little scared. Jalen Waddle, I'm a little scared, just because of injury for those two. But I do think that the Dolphins offense will bounce back, especially this week. Now, on the flip side, before we get into starts of the week, if we lose to the Patriots, we need to burn it down. No bullshit. Tua needs to go. And if you watch my videos, if you know me as a person, you know how much I love Tua. Tua needs to go. GM needs to go. Burn everything down. Nobody is safe. and I mean nobody is safe. Only person that's safe is Patrick Paul and Zach Sealer and Jordan Brooks. Maybe. That's it. And Minka. Because they literally just traded for him. I doubt they'll get rid of him. But literally, like, nobody's job is safe if they lose to the Patriots. And I'm not exaggerating. I know it's week 2, but that would be the biggest indicator for me that this team, something is very wrong. Because Tua's never lost to the Patriots, and the Dolphins actually have an insane home record. So if they lose to the Patriots at home, red flags all the way around. Dumpster fire. Sell the fucking franchise. Burn it down to the ground. Scorched earth and restart. Let's get into the starts of the week. Let's start with quarterback because I'm biased with quarterbacks, and we're always going to start with quarterbacks. Quarterbacks. I love them. Joe Burrow versus the Jaguars. Probably my favorite start this week. The Jaguars defense is not that great. Joe Burrow and that passing offense and the offense in general really didn't have a great start to the season, and this is a perfect match to get your offense going against the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars offense is good enough to keep up with the Bengals to where the Bengals will continuously need to keep scoring and they won't be able to like just take their foot off the pedal. So I would start T. Higgins, Chase Brown, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, obviously. But I think that there's going to be a lot of fantasy pieces in this game that might win people matchups. And Joe Burrow is my favorite quarterback start of the week, easily. Justin Herbert versus the Raiders. I think that this matchup has a lot of boom bust potential, and I think it'll boom because I think the Raiders can. I think they'll be competitive enough with the Chargers to have them pass the ball, and if the Chargers come out passing the ball again, then I think Justin Herbert could literally have a 3-touchdown game because I don't think the Raiders defense is good enough to stop all the weapons that the Chargers have. But I think the Raiders offense is good enough, like the Jaguars, to move the ball enough to essentially force the Chargers to continuously score. Last QB start of the week, Caleb Williams versus the Lions. Now, I know I talked mad buku garbage about the Caleb Williams performance that we saw from quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. But I don't think that is the reality of this Bears offense. They could have been on trending or ending, but I didn't want to cover the entire league. But I think that, one, Ben Johnson is going to be trying to call the game of his lifetime against his old team. And he knows this team very well. He knows the defense very well. So I think that the Caleb Williams that we'll see on Sunday will be closer to the Caleb Williams that we saw in that first drive. Will he complete 10 passes in a row or be 100% completion rate? Probably not. But I don't think that we'll see a lot of what we saw in quarters 2 and 1 or in the second half. I think if anything, it's a little bit more in between, closer to what we saw in quarter 1. And I expected this offense to kind of get off a little slow, but this is a great game to kind of try to get your footing and find out the type of offense that you really could be. And neither of these teams, it's a divisional game, but neither of these teams want to start off 0-2 because they're both 0-1. And I think the Bears are going to be 0-2, but this is a game where I think both offenses, honestly, this will be my game of the week in terms of fantasy. I think that it's a get-right game for both teams, and I think both teams will kind of get their offense jump-started, and if you're a betting man, the over on this would go crazy. I don't know what it is, But if it's over 45.5, I would probably bet the over. On a wide receiver, we're only doing 3 of each. DK Metcalf versus the Seahawks. I said there's a lot of untapped potential with this Steelers offense, and Aaron Rodgers just had his revenge game, and he's the petty type. He's the type of petty motherfucker to give DK Metcalf his revenge game against the Seahawks. Straight up, that's purely what I based it on. Not even gonna lie to you. The over/under for this game is shit. I think it's like 40.5. They're not expecting a lot of points to be put up on the board, but I think DK Metcalf will have a really good game. The only worry I have is if Devon Witherspoon follows him, but from what I've seen with the Seahawks this year, for the most part, Tariq Woolen and Devon Witherspoon kind of stick to their relative sides of the field. They do kind of swap here and there, but hopefully, I'm not really too scared about Tariq Woolen matchup, but the Devon Witherspoon could pose a little bit of a problem. But I still think that DK Metcalf will be trying his darndest to kind of get one over on the team that just traded him and didn't want to pay him. So yeah, trust me, starts of the week work like that a lot. A lot. You would be surprised how many people love to get back at their old team. Like, if there was a Micah Parsons versus Cowboys game, I would bet his sack over whatever it is, unless it's like 2.5 or 3.5 or something like that. Even if it was 2.5, I'll probably take it, to be honest. Bro might, the second he plays the Cowboys, bro might just have the game of his life. He might just put up 5 sacks, low key. Next up, Jacoby Myers versus the Chargers. Now, this does tie in with what I said, that I think the Raiders offense is good enough to move the ball and put up enough points to where the Chargers will need to put up points. I think this will be, it's a divisional game, so it'll more than likely be close regardless. But the main reason why I put Jacoby Myers in this, not only did he have a crap ton, I think he saw double-digit targets. I'm pretty sure he saw 10 targets. 9 or 10 targets in week 1. Pretty sure it was 10. But Brock Bowers might not be available for this game. He's trending to out. He didn't practice Friday, and he had a brace on his knee. So more than likely trending to be out. And if he's out, Jacoby Myers is going to see crazy targets. Like, Jacoby Myers will be this passing offense for the most part. So this is easy start of the week. If you have Jacoby Myers, start him with confidence. And if you're trying to trade for Jacoby Myers, this might not. You might want to get that trade in before Sunday, because after Sunday, his price will go up. I can guarantee you that. Last start of the week, Rome Odunze versus the Lions. Now, this is a player I have been trying to acquire literally since camp and preseason, because almost all reports out of camp were that Rome Odunze is the number 1 wide receiver for the Bears. You saw it in preseason. He was kind of coming on strong, and week 1 he led the team in targets. He didn't lead the team in receiving yards, but 9 targets and a touchdown, and he will more than likely be their go-to red zone option. And in a game like this against the Lions, I love this matchup. This is matchups where number 1 wide receivers can thrive. And especially since he hasn't really had a breakout year yet. Even if he wasn't the number 1 wide receiver, he was somebody that I was targeting, because Keenan Allen just had 100+ targets and he left. And as the number 2 wide receiver, Keenan Allen had 100+ targets. He didn't even play the whole season. So that number 2 role in a Caleb Williams-led offense, not even including the Ben Johnson aspect, already had value to it. But if he's the number 1 option of this offense with the Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams combo, he will have a lot of value. I think the window for Rome Odunze trades will come and end this Sunday. Just like Jacoby Myers, but I think Rome Odunze will have a lot more value than him because he is in a better offense. On to the running backs. Devon Achane versus the Patriots. Devon Achane is probably the only Dolphins. I know I said that it's their woes are ending, but I'm still scared. Don't get me wrong, I'm still scared shitless. This team has let me down one too many times, and I got PTSD. But Devon Achane is one person who I would start with confidence. And yes, I still do think they will bounce back, which is why Devon Achane is in here. He is probably their best playmaker, and he isn't really reliant on Tua or anybody else to kind of have a good game. He can literally do it himself. And they're at home. They generally tend to play better at home, and they generally tend to play better against the Patriots. So I am betting on a bounce back game for the Dolphins offense, and I think Devon Achane, he had a solid game for fantasy. I think he will have a Devon Achane game. Not saying, oh my gosh, good Lord. Not saying he'll have like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, but I think Devon Achane will have a really good game. Kyren Williams versus the Titans. We just saw J.K. Dobbins have a really nice game against him, and R.J. Harvey broke off crazy run against him. Kyren Williams just had 18 carries. His role on the Rams is solidified. They will give him carries early and often, and I don't think the Titans' run defense is ready for what's about to happen to them. I think that Puka and Devontae Adams are probably solid starts. Devontae Adams is a little more scary just because if the Rams get off to an early lead, they could lean more towards running the ball more instead of passing the ball. But I think Puka, the Titans, they better lace their cleats up fucking tight because it's gonna be a long game for them, especially if Kyren Williams gets going. Good Lord, I don't think they'll be able to stop them. Last running back of the starts of the week. Speaking of J.K. Dobbins, I think he'll have a fantastic game against the Colts. I think that the Dolphins should have run the ball more against the Colts, but to be fair, they got down ridiculously bad pretty early on, so it's difficult to run the ball in that scenario. But I think the Broncos will fare a lot better against the Colts. And yes, J.K. Dobbins is in a semi-timeshare, but I think that he will have a great game against the Colts. And if he is your flex, start him with confidence. All right, we're ending it off with the tight ends. We don't have 3 tight ends because I'm not going to go sifting through I'm not, listen, the tight end landscape is still kind of crazy, but it's growing. Listen, we've planted, the NFL has planted seeds in a tight end landscape, and we're seeing nice, beautiful flowers, nice, beautiful trees. Oh, look, a bush. Are those hydrangeas? That's the tight end landscape right now. Like, oh, okay, we're getting somewhere, guys. And is that Kyle Pitts being fantasy? Look at you, boy. Hey, listen. I was team this is the year of Kyle Pitts. And I think he'll have a great game against the Vikings. I think the Vikings defensive line is going to, and I think Brian Flores is going to bring a lot of pressure to Michael Penix, and he's going to need to get the ball off early. And who better to dump it down to than Kyle Pitts? Bijan Robinson will probably get a lot of receptions this game, but I think it'll be Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts had a really big role in week 1, and I don't think that's going to change. He's in a contract year, so he has extra motivation. Contract years are real, people, but he has a little extra motivation. I mean, this is literally like his livelihood. If he does not have a good season this year, he can kiss that fat contract goodbye. This is literally his last chance, and he has the best quarterback of his career, other than Matt Ryan. but the science is there for Kyle Pitts to have a great game. Unless Michael Penix does some Superman shit and just hyper targets Drake London again, which he probably will hyper target Drake London when he can. But I think that the amount of pressure that he'll face this game, they'll kind of become more short pass centric, which will lead to more Kyle Pitts targets. Next tight end up, we have Harold Fannin versus the Ravens. I think that the Browns will be down all game long, and you heard my Harold Fannin glaze. You heard the usage. This is an easy start. If you have Harold Fannin, if you pick them up, you need a tight end, or if you didn't need a tight end, honestly, I would feel comfortable starting him as my flex. All right, that's a little crazy. But Harold Fannin, especially at the tight end position, easy start. I think that the Browns will be passing a lot this game, and we've seen that they really want to get Harold Fannin involved. So I don't think that much will change with his usage. So this is an easy start of the week for me. And that is all. If you stayed this long, leave a comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what kind of content you guys want to see moving forward. I'm open to suggestions. So if there's any type of content that you guys are like, hey, I think you should do this. Hey, I think you should incorporate this into the videos. Lob it. Tell me in the comment section. Let me know. But like, comment, subscribe. If you guys enjoyed, please let me know. You know, a little love goes a long way. You know, a little love goes a long way. But it's getting late. I don't know why. My juices just be flowing more late. Wait. Whoa. But my brain just works a lot better late. It's 3:33 a.m. I got work at 9:30. Let's lock in. I still gotta get this video to end. We rambling too much. But listen, we're signing out. Stay safe. Spread love. Class dismissed.